Shots fired, shots fired. Don't worry, ma'am, there are cops right here. Round the corner, 5 minutes later, a heavily armored truck appears and parks in front of a vehicle so that the suspect can make a run for it. Despite the fact that they have a mortgage, the house is about to become unrecognizable in the span of just a few moments. But let me rewind the clock back if you saw this. Ain't confusing. I'll elaborate with the backstory. It was just another ordinary Sunday and the entire family was home. It was noon and her husband had been acting up. He wasn't in the mood, but today would turn out to be different. For the next several hours he would be on a mission to survive and stand his ground, to eliminate the bulletproof wearing threat that surrounded and have secured his house. He inspects his pistol and loads the rounds, calmly inserting the clip inside, not a single sound. He's finished and he's ready. He holds the gun in his hand and keeps it steady. He knows what he's gonna do and he knows it ain't right, yet there is no going back. He's reached the finish line. He turns the knob into the hallway and turns right. There on the bed is his teenage son, sound asleep he lies. He aims finger on trigger and releases several rounds. The boy's body's symbols appear and blood slowly starts to drip out, creating the outline for the bullet entry and extending everything, and now on to the next one down the hall. In the next room resides another young man. He was just on his phone when a piercing sound travels to his auditory cortex, which causes him to scream. He darts up, opens his door, and standing right next to his room is his dad. He stands frozen, still registering what's happening. Is he mad? He's in shock, still no movement, not even a gasp. Then as realization slowly hits, he wakes up and takes a step back, but the space between them closes as the father takes a step forward to close the gap, and that's when little by little he retreats. He keeps doing that, not wanting to trigger the behemoth of its monstrous scream. Unaware to his knowledge, his chest moves with his heartbeat. His reality begins to shake as the adrenaline in his veins continues to sink. It's been a few seconds, yet it feels like infinity. It's now or never. What do I do? 1, 2, 3. Is this a heart attack? His lungs fill with air, yet he can't breathe. His legs are wobbly, the floor is flat, but it feels steep. It's not real, it's VR. Someone put on his glasses permanently. A part of him knows the outcome unless the clip is empty, but God is here to save him. He's arrived. A beam shines high above him, very bright. He sees the gate too. All he has to do is pull its right. They're inches away, but then it's night. Complete darkness, nothing exists, no knowledge whatsoever. He never made it inside. A woman has been shook to her core. In disbelief of what it is she heard, she closes the door. It's dark, she's crouched in the corner surrounded by clothes. She takes a small object out of her pocket. It's her phone. She dials 3 numbers, and a second later a dispatcher says hello. In a shaky voice she says there is someone inside the house shooting. I need you to explain what's happening. Who's he? She explains it's the dad. He has a gun. She gives the address and says there are kids. She hangs up and law enforcement is notified of possible hostages. He walks in searching for his final target. Does he have enough to finish the job? He checks the cartridge. He does. Good. Now it's time to look. He opens door after door, but with no luck. The kitchen bathroom, where has she snuck? As she hides, she hears footsteps going left and right. Doors close and open. Her space is getting tight. Her forehead beads with sweat. Any minute now her door he'll try. She thinks I'm stupid, and through the door bullets fly. Daylight enters through the holes and illuminates the inside. The knob slowly turns in surprise, but it's empty. If she thinks she can escape that easily, it's a lie. He retreats to the master bedroom and sits on the bed. He needs a break. He looks around and reflects. As she holds her hands over her mouth, she pinches her eyes shut, trying not to make a sound. Any second the authorities will be here. There's nothing to worry about. I need to pee. He gets up, goes to the restroom. Sweet. Perfect. Now is my chance. I can leave. If I'm gonna do it, it has to be now, she thinks. But she hesitates. It could be a trick. Maybe he's testing me, giving me a chance to escape. He wants me to take it. Too late, the toilet flushes, the door opens, and there are his feet. They move to the other side of the bed. A drawer opens and squeaks. Just a little longer and it's over. Then suddenly, her entire body's dragged down from underneath. He grips her tight and his fist meets her stomach. She lies on the floor in a ball, unable to breathe. She grunts and squirms, extending an arm in hopes of gripping the floor as much as possible, crawling towards safety in the opposite direction away from her enemy. But as she does, she's struck by sharp, painful stings. Her body aches as she loses strength. Her eyes slowly close as she gives into the feeling of sleep. She lies motionless. He puts his hand through his hair, exhales. His job is complete. We're here, we've made it. We hope it's not too late. Soon as we got the call, we turned on our siren and to the house we raced. After receiving word of possible hostages, we've no time to waste. Looks like another call was made and an ambulance is also on the way. Time to set up and infiltrate. An officer begins to inspect the property and on his radio some information is exchanged. A flash appears in a nearby window and bullets begin to rain. He runs and runs, taking cover as the bullets fly one after another. Good riddance. He peeks out the window. That'll show them to try my position. If they want to stop me, they'll have to kill, yo. Outside, the officer is on high alert after that collision. An armored vehicle pulls up to the scene. They set up a perimeter and get prepared to breach. But first things first, let's give the suspect the chance to speak. Megaphone in hand, they utter a few warnings in hopes of having them come out weapons free. To no avail, they continue on, group up and scheme. What they plan on deck, crouching into position, once again bullets prepare to flee. Another flash appears at the window, but not the same. It's different, more rapid fire, it's an AK. He's prepared for what's gonna happen. The mistake will be on their behalf if they think their situation will change. He has it locked down, but he's got to admit they are brave. Thinking coming onto his property with a protective suit will help them prevail. They're happily right because they do stand their ground. The ballistic shield takes all the damage and their bodies vibrate. The best they can do is hang on and wait until the threat is out of ammunition. Then the chance to move up will create the perfect opportunity to seize control. He will not escape. Glass breaks, shells are ejected, and mags are replaced. Muscles heat up as lethal projections are exchanged. No casualties so far, just empty clips, but that's about to change. As the deputy fires, a slug impacts on his vest. With all the adrenaline in his body, the wound he chooses to neglect, but it's too much and the damage is dense. Unbeknownst to him, his protection wasn't able to completely suppress. He lets out a wail and a SWAT comes to his aid. "You're hit," he yells. "I need to move you away." But he replies and says no. He wants to keep fighting, he wants to stay. "Looks like you went into your chest, mate, and there is only so much a paramedic can do. They have to take you away." With hope still alive inside, he's unaware that this will be his last day. Shrapnel fires and finds its way to a SWAT. They find cover on impact, but it's not as bad. He looks down and checks the clock. He has to admit this isn't going as planned. If he's not taken down soon, he's not sure how long they'll last. "I'm almost out, but I think I hit. Not exactly sure who, maybe a sheriff. I'll need a closer look. I'll have a better angle through the fence." He makes his way to the side door to check, but there's an armored truck in the way, so he's not sure if someone needed medical attention. "I still got this, I'm almost there. I'll show them who's boss. I just wish I was higher up in the air. I need a vantage point, a place I can really scare." He looks up and perfect. He grabs a ladder. Pistol secured and rifle on shoulder, he steps left, then right after. As he makes his way to the roof, this is the perfect round to spook. They should have never fought with him, it's true. He peeks over the edge and has the entire world in view. It's perfect, they won't see it coming. 3, 2, 1. During what's happening, the officers realize the world has gone mute. The suspect appears to have fled. He rapidly aims at the fence. "I thought I saw something move." His attention is readjusted. The officer who was down is put on a gurney and taken in an ambulance. "I hope he's okay. He'll make it. I know it. Just hang in there. You did good." His vision at the front window is still in place, but there is no movement. Every second that he stares comes back blank. But peripherally, something rises and his question is answered. "Holy shit! Up top! Up top! He's on the roof. Looks like he moved after." He was right. As he fires down below, his confidence is filled with laughter. These pigs thought that it was over. Nah, it's only just begun. He goes cocky, thinking sooner or later they'll decide they've had enough. Down on the street, the officers return lead. Once he's tired of being up top, where's he gonna go next? This needs to stop now before he turns into a higher threat. But luck is on their side. If they hold their position, soon victory will favor them. Time has come for the final joke. "I need to reload, and then to a more secure position I'll move. Hopefully after this they won't know what else to do." He lays down, takes aim, calmly holding the rifle. From this distance, he can clearly see the car's title. A few officers reside nearby, their height not too tall, pretty mild. The final showdown commences. As they're nearly struck, they duck down for protection. Unknown to the suspect, an officer resides to his left, who he's neglected to give attention. Down by a car behind the wheel, an officer lies hidden. He peeks out, and to his surprise, the window is open that requires a quick split-second decision. He takes it, fires, and through the air, the bullet makes it completely. As the suspect continues his assault, he fails to notice a wound so severe he doesn't get the chance to respond. He just lays his head down, and his arm lays over the edge. His face turns red, and seconds later is covered in a mess, as blood trickles down to his nose and continues to leak out of his forehead. His trigger finger lies dead, and he no longer fires his weapon. Officers remain on standby. "What happened? Should we move in?" They look at each other and can't decide. "I think we should, but let's wait in case there is another mad surprise." They're notified of a possible takedown. SWAT is informed, and it's their game now. SWAT is anxious to burst in and infiltrate, but they have to be cautious of there being any unknown threat. Who knows how long this will take. Wooden debris scatters across the floor as the doors kicked in. SWAT members cordially enter as it is now their area of business. Every move they make is calculated to avoid any mischievous activity. Upon entering, they find themselves in the living room. It's big. A nice plasma lies on a stand. It's several inches, but it's empty. No one in sight, no witness. The search continues a few steps forward in the kitchen. Still no one in sight. Just in the sink lie a few dirty dishes. They made their way to the hall. The first door is the bathroom. It's all full of things that are looked at and dismissed. The first horror doesn't show up until they reach the corner. They decide they've never seen something so despicable for sure. The person responsible must have been Mortar, lying insane, no doubt. His pulse is checked, but it's a negative. The victim makes no sound. This is so messed up. Hopefully when they search the other room, they'll have better luck. Exiting the room, they notice how the entire bedding is smudged. They give their head a little shake as if to say he was too young. Continuing down the hall is the master bedroom. As they approach, they notice a hand. A little closer, then two. The Vic has long hair, the mom. On the carpet, the blood bled through. Her back is covered in dark spots and some still have residue. A pair of fingers check for a pulse. It's also negative. Then it's true. We took too long. Then he radios it in. We're gonna need a medic. 2 victims so far, no sign of a third. But we'll keep looking. He looks down at the woman and says, I give you my word. Taking a deep breath, he turns to leave. One room left. He hopes to God, please. Let this not be the same outcome, but the room is empty. He exhales, a charger hangs from the wall. Where could he be resting? The environment warms up and the sun is now low. Sirens grow louder as emergency vehicles arrive and neighbors step out their homes. They've been cooped up behind their walls for several hours, any danger they avoid, slowly opening doors with curiosity as to what's been up with all that noise. Tape is stretched out and decorated throughout the residence. The block is cut off with law enforcement vehicles and officers convey messages. News reporters appear and set up right outside where the entrance is. If it bleeds, it leads, once said a wise man named Stephen King. Up above, a chopper departs from the crime scene. They've been monitoring the shootout since the suspect decided to elevate his position. Since the suspect was too busy, he didn't bother to give it attention. The chopper stopped recording from the moment the shooter was hit and no longer needed reloading. Zippers closed as victims were bagged one by one. The final was found outside with a head wound caused by a slug. His head lay quietly surrounded by a puddle of blood. Looks like he tried to escape and the gunman he was running from. The gate lies inches away. Once it's open, you're at the front. As they stood surrounding the body, an idea rises in their cranium. How could a person possibly kill, especially when that person is their very own son? With that in mind, they retrace their steps. What's done is done. There is nothing more they can do except move on. They shouldn't dwell, but the future holds more situations like this and they know they'll come. The shooter is disarmed and of his weapons pictures are taken. Down the street, reporters are eager for news to report. They ask, what's the latest? The main officer in charge walks up to them to make a statement. As dark skies approach, headlights turn on and the mufflers sleep. Little by little, vehicles start to run and clear the street. As news spreads, family and friends are contacted. Bewildered by the events, they turn to denial and think, stop, that's insane. How on earth? Why? Questions arise, it's automatic. But it's reality. A man just killed his family. The next day arrives and relatives gather. They get to witness with their own eyes the horror and their hearts shatter. Just a few yards in, the blood of their family was splattered. Candles begin to litter the sidewalk, windows are boarded up and a sign is chalked. Keep out. The grass grows and becomes neglected. The wire fence loses its posture, falling down losing the position it was intended for, but eventually it gets taken down as intruders decide to invade and check it out. Standing in awe as the wall remains decorated with 100 bullet holes. The story becomes the new talk of the neighborhood. Families from nearby houses continue to gather in their lawns and stare, but it later would just become another day of history, as a few details remain unknown on this deadly blitzkrieg. Thoughts arise if the house will have a new owner, but then they slowly dissipate as time continues and the house remains desolate and its history grows colder. It even becomes somewhat of a landmark and an area of attention. Pedestrians and drivers slowly pass by to get a closer look at the site of the massacre where the murderer was clearly under possession.